I was in South Africa not too a few months ago, and the hotel I stayed on was a boutique hotel. Neighborhood, shout out to them, right? And when I walked in, I saw their spread. There wasn't more than 7 items, and I'm telling you, it was perfect 7 items.
Slaps.
Always.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Obelawo. My name is Dara and I'm your hospitality girlie. With me is your hospitality money.
Hospitality money. Yeah, Dara, thank you for that. My name is Ore and Dara. I like to think of myself as someone that makes life easier for people. This is my co-host and also the host. And thank you for riding with us on this one so far. Man, Dara, the numbers have been crazy.
I know, right? Like, guys, you really like to hear us yap.
Yeah, you like to hear us yap. For real, but thank you so much for joining us on this journey. It's an honor to serve.
It really is.
Yeah, of course.
I always like hospitality. Talking about hospitality is really my thing. I'm always talking about how I need to separate myself from work, but at the end of the day, like, it's the thing that really makes me, and I love it. I love making people's lives easier and making people happy as well.
Yeah.
So we're talking about something really interesting today, and in fact, what caught our attention or what made us think, let's talk about this, was something that happened last month. Burger King launched a new product. Actually, I was at the Global Summit when the CEO mentioned that they were launching a new product, and I'd also seen on the Instagram feed, and they said they were just checking with everyone. Oh, what do you think we're launching next? Everyone was like, "Yeah, burger, this, that, and the third." Lots of things, jollof rice, things. Only for me to see that they actually launched small chops. And honestly, that was not on my bingo card. I was like, whoa, this is really interesting. So Ore and I decided that we're going to try it. So this is not a review, but we want to see what it's like. And we're really wondering, what's the business decision around this. But we'll try it first, see whether we like it. I mean, I like small chops. I don't always eat it, but we'll try it.
I'm curious to know.
Are you ready?
Yeah, of course.
Drum roll. Okay. There we go. I mean, I already opened it. First of all,
nice packaging.
First thought.
That was a 10 out of 10 packaging.
I really like it. It's compact.
Cost effective too.
Cute. Like if you're going to the beach, order a bunch. So it makes sense. And I guess you can. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. I guess you can order it in stores, in their stores. You can also order it.
It has a QR code on here.
Okay, it does have a QR code. Interesting. Yeah. It does have. It's also on Global rather, and it also, I think they're trying to get people to download their app as well. Yeah. So it is cheaper on the app. So, are you ready? Should we open it?
Definitely.
Wow, I don't know how we're gonna zoom into this, but it's really interesting.
Show it to them.
I don't know, but we probably need a clip in there somewhere. Now, first thought, it has your usual suspects: puff puff, plantain, samosa, spring roll, chicken,
yummy,
one chicken wing, and onion rings. Now, that's the kicker for me. Burger King is known to have onion rings as one of their menu items. So the fact that they have done all of this combo is really, really interesting.
Culture.
Yeah, so
I
guess they're trying to do, what do they call it? Localization and all of that. So, are you ready to try? Okay. So what should we go for first? Puff puff.
Yeah, puff puff.
I mean, always. You know what it is with Nigerian small chop puff.
It's not small chops.
It's really small chops. At that point, it's probably just the.
So do we?
Yeah, let's Interesting. What do you think?
It's nice. For me, because I've cut down drastically on my sugar intake. Those who are sweet tooth might not necessarily vibe with it, but it's good. Texture is good. And it's not oily. So they got that right. Maybe just a bit of more yeast so it could have risen, but it's fine.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about it, but it's alright. it gets the job done. Maybe I need to eat more.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like, you know how they say that the average Nigerian party, when you have small chops, it's only maybe like one spring, one samosa, and like 10 puff puff. This only had 3, so maybe that's something to potentially consider. There is also onion rings. I want to try that next, so
Interesting.
we see, because rather interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of onion rings, but yeah. Ready?
Okay, sure.
I'm not mad at it. I just think it's a little too doughy, but again, it's not a review. Just, it's going to ease us into what we're talking about today.
I think the onions are well seasoned. I'm not quite sure about the oil. Yeah, very doughy. I couldn't taste the onions. I couldn't get that crunch. But not bad.
But it's not crunchy.
Not bad.
I guess we'll try the rest of the stuff later. But, I mean, first thoughts, fair. But really, I wonder what really could have made them like decide to do this. Is it innovation? I guess localization. Is it just, I don't know, a different type of like way to penetrate the market? Or is this a form of menu engineering, right? And this is going to be our topic for today. Menu engineering is something that a lot of businesses, or when you first think about it, you're thinking, oh my God, this is just another class. It sounds hard. But it's something that's important for restaurants and
your identity.
Yes, your
Business,
identity. Before you even develop your menu, you need to understand these things. Even if you're a new restaurant, an existing one, all of that, menu engineering really sets the tone for, like you said, your identity. It sets the tone for the amount of money that you're also making, because at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. It sets the tone for how much like cost you have. Are you saving on them? Are you not saving on them? It also sets the tone for like brand perception and guest satisfaction.
100%.
So, do you think that there is a difference between menu engineering and menu design, or like menu psychology?
100%. I think that menu engineering is inherent to all these things. So brand psychology, whether it's the template, whether it's the design, they all fall under menu engineering, and people need to separate that. For example, you look at the menu engineering mix, which I'm not quite sure, a lot of people that are not industry experts know about, right? But those 4 things would literally determine the profitability of your business. We're talking from the dogs to the power horses to the stars, to the puzzles, right? You need to figure out. I mean, you look at some businesses today. I would totally understand why Burger King would have picked, small chops, because in my own opinion, that's a star, right? It's highly popular on any menu, right? Well, it should be highly popular on any menu, and it should also be, profitable to do it, right? So that would make sense, right? I won't be surprised they saw the data and they're like, look at our Uncle Stan's, look at 12 baskets. Why can't we do this? We have the capacity, we have the people, we have the technology. So what does it take to just introduce something like this, right? Now with the psychology aspect to it, right? It's possible to get that part right, but when you're actually making a menu, there's a science to making.
There is a science to making.
It has to follow the customer path. Like, I don't like going to a menu, and it's not to say, okay, if you have the capacity to do everything in the world, by all means do it, right? But there has to be a customer journey. Like, I can't open your menu. The first thing I'm saying is starter, then the next thing I see is desserts. Then the main is now behind. There has to be, we call it flow mapping. There has to be a customer flow mapping, right? So those things are essential. And if you don't understand this, though you might get your menu engineering mix right, you might get the costing right, you might get the analysis, the pricing, the portioning, all of that. But if you don't understand how to guide your guests through a journey, right, it's going to cause confusion, and there's going to be a lot of money left on the table.
A lot of
I just keep on
money.
I don't say I don't understand this man. Come on, give me your price and talk to you.
Exactly.
Yes. So it's upselling gone, suggestive selling gone.
You think that you know how there's the whole thing with like menu psychology? Do you think that we do that well enough here? So with like price anchoring and like even the design, the flow, like do you think we do that well enough?
I think certain industries get it right. If you're going to talk about like QSR, for example, I think QSR is pretty much straightforward.
Straightforward, yeah.
Right. If you're going to talk about a cafe, and depending on the kind of cafe, because cafes are evolving now, right? But it shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to cafe menus, in my own opinion, right? When it comes to now, you're getting the place of like fine culture, upscale dining and whatnot. You need to hire an expert and use it. Sometimes you as the owner, sometimes you as the manager don't understand it. Hire someone that understands customer flow. Literally from the gate. If you're a pre-existing business, for example, right? Menu engineering isn't just the food menu, right? Anything that is rendering a service, like literally from the gatehouse, right? It should determine how the customer flow is. So if it's the gatehouse and the restaurant is here, well, okay, am I going to put the door here? Where's the bar going to be? Where's the floor layout going to be? That is also part of the whole menu engineering, and I feel like people miss that sometimes. So whether it's a thing that's predominant here in Nigeria, in Lagos especially, I can't say yes or no, but I can say there are some businesses that don't understand it, and that's another reason why they're losing money, because a lot of times they come tell you our waiters are not selling well enough, let's retrain the waiters. Okay, you train the waiters and they get it right, but that flow, that customer flow is not there, right? Sometimes it's your menu.
True.
You have a booklet that is almost like a TD, what was the Ugosiogo, whatever it is, back in the day, and it's not telling a story. It's not original. It's not, and even though it's not original, even though it's reinventing the wheel, it's not your USP. It's not stand out enough. It's too very basic. Then it wouldn't work. And look, as a consultant, I always tell clients, colleagues that you can't do copy and paste work. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. Okay, let's take demographic wise now. Lekki and BI. We had a client that wanted to do a fine dining thing in Lekki.
There's no fine dining in Nigeria. Remember that.
There's none.
But it's true.
And I told them that the Lekki crowd is not going to appreciate this. I said the VI crowd will. Right. So and the data showed when we did our feasibility and all of that. And we said, okay, do something a bit more upscale, just do something like, that elevated dining kind of vibe. And they did it, and it's working for them, right? So I don't know that, I think that there's some businesses that don't get it right, but there's some businesses that have gotten it right, and it's clear as daylight, the ones that have gotten it right. Most of the times, you find, you should know this, you find customers, guests that are satisfied with your menu, and they call, and you know them because you know the customer profile at the house. Customers like me or people that are very curious would ask for other things on the menu, right? And that's another way to even identify trapped customers. But that's the story for another day. Trapped customers is something, that's something else. But I do think it's a 50-50 for me. Some get it right, some don't.
I think that with menu psychology in Nigeria, talking about guests and how they kind of make their decisions, or you put the spotlight on Lagos, I feel like price is the main decision maker for a lot of people, alongside Lagos has a lot of herd mentality. People like to go to the same places. So you've seen these dope place on TikTok, on Instagram. That's what's driving your decision. You've seen everybody talking about it. That's coupled with the price most times. Also, now because we have a lot of again, Instagram, TikTok, people are eating with their eyes first. So many times, people have made their decision on what they're going to eat before they come.
100%.
They're not that confused on what they're going to eat by the time they come. So they come and they say, you know what, I want the pasta. I saw the picture. They'll show you the picture.
Well,
This is
screenshots
the-
and send it to you.
This is the one that I want. And then if
Yeah.
it looks different, you have another bit of problem to deal with. But I think that for us here, menu psychology is it's something that we cannot really compare with, like, globally, or like the West and all of that. And I think that the work involved in menu engineering is deep. A lot of people don't see the work, again, that goes on behind the scenes to put all of that together. The numbers you see on the menu are not random. The cost goes into it, the yield goes into it, the margins go into it. All of that now creates like profitability. And that you mentioned the mix. So stars, puzzles, plow houses, and what's the last one? Dogs. Now, I feel like the first time I saw or I learned about menu engineering in university, in hospitality school, it scared me at first. I'm not gonna lie.
It's scary.
Because it's like, what is this? And it's like that.
It's like a demand and supply.
Yeah, it's like the demand and supply thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of have to remember which is which.
Yeah.
Because if you mix it up, then you have a problem.
You have a big problem. Yeah.
So I remember sitting in an exam and just being like, okay, stars, profitable, popular. Puzzles, profitable, not popular. Okay. So these things are there to guide. Apart from that, part of what goes into menu engineering sometimes that people don't see is inventory, menu complexity, like even just the flow in the kitchen. Because if I have an item that's a star, which means it is both popular and profitable, but it takes me 2 hours, it takes me 1 hour to prep alone, then it takes me another 2 hours to actually like fire and everything. I don't know that it really makes sense for me to keep it on my menu. So I might need to find a way to rework that star item.
Yeah, re-engineer.
And re-engineer it. That is both popular and profitable. Or, you know what, I have to just bite the bullet and remove it.
Yeah, I hear it. No, I'm not against that, but I feel that why fix if it's not broken? So it could be a thing where let's try to re-engineer again. Let's try to re-engineer, right? Do we have to keep staff on rotation, right?
That's
Maybe,
fair.
A shift. We have to work the shift and obviously pay more, right, over time. So is this something that we can do a day before? Because another thing about in the kitchen about over marinating something more than it is meant to be marinated for or be prepped for, right? So I think if it's low cost and it's it's higher margins and it's popular, we might need to find a way. But if there's literally no way, because I mean it also depends on the size of your menu, right? It's very dependent on the size of your menu. So if it's a menu that is small scaled, and I think can be done, right? But if it's a larger menu, like maybe say in a hotel kitchen, maybe just for buffet, maybe we'll just keep it as a buffet thing, right?
I don't think
than put it
buffets
in
are
a la carte.
profitable. Sorry, that's another topic. But I don't think they are. It's the same way I feel about like bottomless cocktails and all those things.
The psychology of bottomless cocktails is different from buffet.
I know, but
So-
I just don't. Those two things, I just don't think that they're profitable.
Please explain your thought process on this one.
I don't want to go into it, but I feel like there's a lot of waste that goes into buffets, right?
I hear it. I agree.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked in large hotel chains, and a lot of times what ends up happening is they throw it away, right? Or they move it to staff canteen. So staff end up eating it. So for me, it's like, why'd you put all of that? Your purchasing is high. If I ran my own restaurants, I would never do a buffet.
Let's say by the grace of God.
Okay, sorry, by the grace of God, I would not. I will also not do bottomless cocktails.
No, bottomless cocktails makes no sense. I get that.
Like, how do you even? What's the engineering around that?
So for buffet, I think again, look, down from your major hotels or down to boutiques, I think that a lot of people are just not creating systems that work for themselves.
Fair.
I went to a hotel in Ibadan, right? And I was really not interested in the breakfast, my guy was like, guy, there's food options, everything there and whatnot. So I said, okay, let me move my consultant cap off. Let me just go there.
Be a customer.
Egg made like 20 different things there. I saw boiled egg, but I saw sunny side up. I saw scrambled egg. I saw almost in so many eggs. I said, So now, it depends on the operation model you're running. If it's super high end, mid tiers, we have different hotel chains, hotel categories
and styles,
right? So I don't think the reason why you would say that, I understand, right? But I think that the over variety is a killer.
It is a killer.
And really and truly, I get that no guest should come into a place where the buffet is literally finished on or before the time. So if you set 3-4 hours, 5, whatever amount of time is set for the buffet window, right? Especially if you're a business that's been existing already, you should know the average amount of guests you'll be expecting.
Of course, you project. You project. Projections. Yeah.
So if you are doing that, then waste management should be top tier, and there shouldn't be as much waste. That's the truth, in my own opinion.
I guess that's why
sometimes where the thing fluctuates. Like okay, we have maybe it's peak season, and there's oil and gas conferences, this, that. Especially if you are one beside like a airport or whatnot. I get that, but I genuinely think that if you can get buffet right, you can. I look. Let's do the topic for another year.
It is a topic for another year. It's just my own personal opinion. I'm also not really a fan of them because again, I see so much waste that happens, and the world is really, and global hospitality trends and all of that. The world is really tilting more towards lean menus and lean offerings.
I agree.
So to be fair, if you have a buffet and you have 6 options and you are very sure that it will clear, sure.
100%.
But then if you have 12, 20 options, and then you decide to do an around the world menu or around the world night, you're going to have so much waste, And talking about trends as well, people are also trying to eat a lot healthier. People are reducing portions. You said before you're in a calorie deficit. So if you go to a buffet breakfast, what are you probably getting? Eggs, maybe a fruit, maybe a yogurt, and that's it.
I'll tell you what.
You're not going to get the carbs.
No, you're right. I was in South Africa not too a few months ago, and the hotel I stayed on was a boutique hotel, neighborhood. Shout out to them, right? And when I walked in, I saw their spread. There wasn't more than 7 items, and I'm telling you, it was the perfect 7 items, right? Whereas my family members and everyone, just friends that was staying at larger scale hotels, when I went there, I saw the spread, and I'm like, there's a lot of waste going on here.
Too much.
I think to myself, sometimes I'm like, that is a global hotel chain, and I'm not from it. I know more than you, right? But I also know what numbers are. Do you understand? I also know what waste management is, and I was like, cereal, and the cereal has 5 different options. You know that if you eat cereal 2 bowls, well, for me, 2 bowls is even too much. 1 bowl, I'm out. So how much more? Then you have banana, you have kiwi, you have this, you have that, and I think that the future is very lean, in my own opinion.
It is.
So I get that point about buffet can be a waste.
Yes.
It can be a waste.
And I feel with a lot of those buffets as well, there is a lot of, it's random.
It's random. There's no pairing.
There's no pairing. There's no planning.
Yeah.
So before you know it, and I don't know, but I also feel like a lot of places, or some places, might be recycling stuff.
Oh, 100%.
So you might find that some of the bread that was on yesterday's breakfast spread might be the same that comes on today's.
And it depends if they're not baking their own bread now. No, I hear you. I agree. But the beautiful thing about bread is that especially if you have panko or breaded things, you can always use it. You can use it in your stocks. Your stocks, in your stuffings, right? So yeah, but I do understand that, right? I do understand that. But even a lot of the bread that they are baking these days, I saw something on Instagram the other day. One bread had been there for 3 weeks, not one mold, nothing was going on it. Meanwhile, his wife had baked the bread 2 days ago and mold was going on it. So we definitely need to be careful with.
Definitely need to be careful.
Yeah, we need to be careful.
menu engineering also requires. So one thing I like about it is that it helps you know your data.
Like mad.
It really helps you know your data, and data is king, especially when you are running a business that you want to be profitable. And ideally, you should do your menu engineering like every 3 months. So even if you might not change anything or do anything, you should be able to get the data and look at it critically and sit with yourself and be honest with yourself, because sometimes, especially with standalone businesses, of course there will always be the like emotional connection to certain dishes, and because time would pass, people would have the different things that they like and things just happen. You might have that one dish that's there and you're really finding it hard to let go, but it's really dragging your menu back. It's adding more stuff, whereas you could do the work of like replacing it. But if you're not looking at the data, then you won't really know, right? And again, I know it's hard, right? Especially for smaller businesses that tell a story, have history, all of that. But if you are not looking at the data and the numbers, last time you were laughing at me because I was talking about margins a lot. But all of these things determine, they make or break your business. They make or break your bottom line. And I feel like your team needs to be very, or the team as a whole needs to be very intentional about it. So from the back of house, so that's the purchasing department, to the store, to the accounts team, to everybody, they need to understand what menu engineering is. Every menu item should be on your menu for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't randomly just be there because, oh, like I saw this in Spain, so I just really thought it would work here. Like there is, like Ore said, a flow, right? And for me, I think that it's something more and more hospitality businesses should really take seriously. There's so many like points of sale systems now and ERPs that help you have data at your fingertips, right? It's no longer like you have to now go start looking at all your dockets. Of course, you can use that to like compare and make sure that you're not losing anything. But like ultimately, menu engineering helps you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you want to move forward. So it's important to just make sure that you're doing it, honestly. I think that one thing that I've found is that there's a lot of mix up and a lot of like you said, menu engineering guides like menu design, menu psychology, but sometimes people forget that it is less about the aesthetics. So if you don't do menu engineering first and you decide, okay, I have 10 starters, I have 15 mains, I have 3 desserts, you're not going to know, okay, what should I place where? Or should I price anchor it? Which is, you would put all the most expensive things first and put the least expensive things at the bottom.
This free class, this free game.
Hey,
we'll go cut these things out.
Hey, I do what I can.
Free game.
I do what I can.
Kachi is going to know he does.
I do what I can for the people. So I think at the end of the day, like it's important that the flow is there. Menu engineering is done first. Now you can then look at it and say, okay, now I have this information. How do I place it? How do I make it look? How do I describe it?
Because menu engineering is going to determine your aesthetics. You're not going to have an amala let's say, a swallow menu and have white walls.
What?
I'm just saying, to stand you up. It's going to determine the theme of your restaurant. Really reinvent the wheel. You can, but what would it cost you, to be honest? So essentially, there are just certain things that need to be right before, even, okay, you've done a feasibility study, fair enough, right? But you need to know what route you want to go with your menu. Menu is not just for food, it's also for drinks.
Yes. Now, sometimes I wonder how like global franchises and QSR franchises, I guess like Burger King, how they kind of do their own menu engineering and how they decide, you know what, this is what we're going to take away, this is what we're going to keep, because of how global they are. Some things might be working here, but some things might not be working in. Something might be working in Burger King in Ikoyi, but might not be working for Burger King in I don't know, Enugu. So how do you even reconcile, that kind of thing? Because obviously, I imagine that a lot of like their purchasing and their inventory, some of it is probably not done here. So
No,
how
it's
do
not
they
done
figure
here.
out that mix to make sure that it works for them? Like, just wondering. What do you think?
I have a friend of mine that has a bakery, and he was trying to get a contract with one of these. I won't mention who, but one of the multinationals here. And when they told him the process that he needs to go through, you understand that these guys are very thorough to it. I think we need a standardized industry across our trainings, across our, the service culture. We need a standardized industry such that if you're not performing to the standard of what of Nigerian hospitality should be, you will feel some type of way.
Agreed.
And you will be forced to change it.
I agreed. This is such a random segue, but this reminds me of the time that Drake had a restaurant in Toronto. I forget the name now.
Drake had a restaurant. Wow.
Yeah, he did. Partnered with this renowned chef. I think he was an Asian chef. I'm not
Does it
sure.
still exist?
No, it shut down. So I don't talk about why it was shut down. It was shut down because they were going over the liquor limit. So I guess they were getting too many drunk people or whatever, and they shut it down. And they didn't care that it was Drake.
Yeah.
Do you think that can work here? I don't think so. We kind of spoken about this before, how we don't really have those guidelines or the standardization.
There's the drink responsibly facade.
We don't have that.
We don't. But I speak to some clients of ours, especially in the island, where the owners are very hands-on, and if they see that you are going over the top, they will, approach you kindly, and in fact, they won't even speak to what you're currently, doing and knowing that you're drunk, but they will just get into your head, like they just flow with you naturally, and you're like, oh, by the way, are you sure you don't want to kind of just like hands off the liquor for now? There's ways people go about it, and but I've seen even some bartenders. We talk about emotional connection, right? When I train, I always train on it. Personally, I don't think you should just treat a bartender to be a good bartender, but really and truly, what really makes a good bartender is a bartender that can connect with people that are there. I told you, people come to a restaurant, either are going through different things. Someone has just lost someone is, their wife has just given birth. A million and one things. People, so even I think the bartenders even go through it the most, in my own opinion, because the wait staff. Yes, I believe there's an engagement, not just drop the menu. And we talk about services, black and white, hospitality is color. But the bartender guys, they probably know everybody's gist. They are meant to keep quiet.
There are lots of conversations.
There's a lot of conversations that happen at the bar.
We don't have bar culture in Nigeria.
We don't have bar culture in Nigeria. There's only a few that have gotten it right.
Like where?
I'll be honest with you, RSVP is solid on bar culture.
Sure.
Now I think that the owner of the business is always like their mindset is always replicated into the staff.
Yeah.
So I think that bar culture is not a thing in Nigeria, but there's a few that genuinely love what they do, and they talk to you about it. They talk to you about anything.
I think, actually, no, let's say Lagos, because I think that Abuja has a better bar culture.
Is it?
Yes.
Interesting, okay.
You have the opportunity to bar hop a lot better in Abuja because everything is so close. So you can have the same thing in like three things in one street. So this industry is really, really interesting, and at the end of the day, menu engineering and the analysis and the analytics and the margins and the jargon and all the hard stuff really, really feeds into how much money you make, because that is why you open the business at the end of the day. You might have opened it because, there's a story or you're a legacy or you really wanted to fulfill your grandma's wishes, but you are also there to make money ultimately. So you have to make the decisions for your menu that pay you and that, make sure that you have made the right decision. I feel like in Nigeria, we're very obsessed with like big menus, and we're not really leaning towards maybe more places are doing that now, but we're not really leaning towards the smaller, more concise, lean one-pager menus that a lot of global brands and just the West is doing. And we give people so many options. We have so many, like so much waste. Your inventory, you just have too many things going on. I think that anytime I see any menu that's just too large, I think it's poorly, like there's no menu engineering going on, or you're not doing it often enough or as often as you should. One time I used to think that menu engineering and just how that feeds into menus helps with the whole like QR code or the rise of the QR code menus, because if I was doing my menu engineering every 3 months and I had my QR code situation, it's easy for me to just go and delete stuff and I don't have to reprint menus again. That's another thing I think people are scared of, or not scared of, but that cost, the high cost of printing. And if you want your menu to look really, really pretty, the printing costs are high. So I think we really need to, what the industry or businesses and stuff, by the time you are deciding what your story is and deciding what your menu is, then you need to make sure that it's lean and it's fair and the kitchen can produce it and it's not taking too much time and it's not complex, and again, you're sitting on top of your data.
Yeah, and you mentioned the printing cost, and I don't think people really know how much printing costs. Like for every color, you're charged, right? So if you're going to have 4 colors, you can't pay 4 colors for the price of 2. So I definitely think that having a few printed menus with a QR code on it, not with the price, is good.
I
Some
agree.
people like paper menu.
Yeah, I like paper menu.
Yeah.
I used to be of that. Oh my God, especially from COVID and stuff. Just keep the QR menus and why don't you have QR menus? But in this country where network is bad, or you might have to start zooming into the thing, I think that paper menus still work. I just think that whatever paper menu you're doing should be a little bit sustainable.
I agree.
So
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know, however it is, but it should just be sustainable for your cost and your overheads at the end of the day. So I think this brings us to a good close. And the story here is do your menu engineering. If you don't know how to do it, call Ore. It's not that difficult. Or I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
It's
and
just
your staff.
important. Yeah, it's
Staff
just
need to
important that
understand
you're
the menu.
doing it.
They
And
need
it's
to
important
understand,
that whatever, like you're keeping your data and you're also tracking your data, that feeds into menu engineering eventually. Because if you can see that, for example, you have maybe in a month you've only sold 5 desserts. You don't need to wait until you do the big one. You're already seeing, you can see the trends, and that can help guide your decisions, your final decisions, and whatever it is that you're going to do.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Also,
I think we've come to a good wrap here. This should definitely lead us into our next episode, where we will talk more about people's stories and people's identities and all of that. Thank you for joining. See you next time.
bye.